How's it going there today, everybody? This is Michael out in Maui. Aloha. So if you've been enjoying all the content I've been putting out, I recommend subscribing to the channel. By subscribing, you'll be notified every single time I put out a new video. At the moment, I'm putting out 3 videos a week, straight throwing tutorials. So today, I wanted to talk about watching a disc review. You know, everybody always posts, disc reviews. So if you're watching a disc review and you're thinking about buying that disc, so you watch the person throw the disc, to get an idea of how that disc flies, to see if you want to purchase the disc. But there's a couple things that I would inquire about, to the person doing the video, to answer, a couple questions that might be important to you to purchase the disc. So the first question I would ask is, how far does the person throw? Is it a 200-foot arm, 300-foot arm, 400-foot arm? Because every one of those max distances is going to make the disc fly differently. So it's important to know how far does the person throw who's doing, the video on the review of the disc. So I would ask, how far do you throw for a max throw? Because then you can gauge it to how far you throw. If that guy's 300 and you throw 300, you're going to get a pretty good idea what the disc can do. But if that guy throws 400 and you throw 300, the disc is going to fly a lot different. So it's good to know how far that person throws. Second, ask what weight of disc are they throwing. Is he throwing a max weight 175? Or is he throwing a 165? So you should also inquire, the weight of the disc. What's the person throwing? Another question I would ask is just, when he was doing his review, what was the wind angle? The disc flight can change a lot from the wind. So if you're watching a disc review and he's throwing with a tailwind and he's getting that disc just bomb super far, it'd be good, what's the wind doing? Is he throwing tailwind? Is he throwing into a headwind? Because like I said, that's going to make the disc fly differently, So it'd be a good idea to know, what kind of wind was blowing, when he did his disc review. But those are just a couple of the more important questions that I can think of to try to deduct, if you want to buy that disc. Because I watched a disc review someone did on the Eagle from Innova. I was thinking about buying an Eagle, and the guy was throwing the disc. He wasn't even getting out to 300 feet. He said the disc was terrible, super overstable. He didn't like it at all. So I just, so he gave it a really bad review. I bought the disc and love it. It doesn't fly the way he did on his video. It flies really nice. So, as I was saying, so you got to pay attention to what the person's doing, the flight pattern, what the disc is doing. That way you'll get a better idea. So anyways, this is Michael out in Maui. Aloha.